for our consideration, I had to think about the name of the podcast because it's been a while. I feel like it's always been a while when we record this, right?
Yeah, because you do so many other ones.
Yeah, I was trying to find
It's
it.
like, I'll leave her to last. It's fine.
I'm spinning plates. What do you want me to say? Yeah, so I'm Dan, and I'm here every week, so I don't know why I'm going to introduce myself. But I'm joined by the amazing, lovely, wondrous, legendary Courtney. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi. We're so courteous. So consistently courteous every week.
Every week.
Yeah, so we saw a few films today. This is the first episode actually that we're talking about more than one film.
Yes.
So
we have not seen all of these 3 films today.
No.
We've just seen them recently.
We've seen none of these films today.
None of these films today.
The benefit for you listening and watching is we'll probably not go on as much about each film, which might be better for people listening. But the negative for us is we've probably still got quite a lot to say, and we're going to try and keep them all within one episode.
Yeah.
So there's 3 movies. We're going to aim for like 20-25 minutes for each of them. So we're not keeping you too long. So the movies are The Black Phone, which we've been saying since we recorded the last episode that we're going to do an episode on, and the last episode was Elvis, and Elvis is now on streaming. That's how long it's been since the last episode. Yeah.
Oh, so we can watch that again?
Yeah. Aye, so Black Phone, because we've seen that ages ago, but we've seen it twice since. And we're going to talk about, what was the other one?
Bullet Train,
which is the only one of these 3 that I have a review for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll link that below. You can
I know that because I read all your reviews.
Check out my review. And spoilers, I like Bullet Train a lot. Out of the 3, it might be my favourite, but we'll get into that. And finally, we were going to talk about Prey, which out of the 3 is probably my least favourite. But hey, we'll get into it because I know that a lot of people like that film, and I didn't. So yeah, we'll get into it. I mean, I've sort of referenced some of these on another plug, Pop Shop podcast. I'll link that below. Yeah, this will be on the Pop Shop channel anyway, so just go back into past episodes. But I have mentioned that I've watched these movies on Pop Shop, but every time I've been like, but I'm going to do an episode of fair consideration, I'm going to really get into them. So this is that time we get into them. So let's do that. Let's get right into them.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about first?
Well, I figured we'd do them in the order we've seen them.
Yeah.
So we've seen Black Phone first. So The Black Phone, I was looking forward to it. I had heard good things and I enjoyed it a lot. We've seen it once in the cinema and then we've seen it again at home. And
no, we didn't.
What?
Is that like illegal?
Oh, it's on stream.
Okay.
Oh, we streamed it.
We streamed it. Okay.
Through perfectly. I'm not a pirate, mate. Do I have an eye patch? I'm not no pirate.
No. You would not say an eye patch.
Mate, I would look like Captain Jack. I'd be heavy sexy. Right. No, but what was I saying? Black Phone. Yeah, so we've seen it twice. And so normally when I see a film, especially one that I like, the more I think about it, the more I sort of...
Do it to shreds?
Yeah. I don't go off it, but I probably overthink it. But before we get into any of my negativity, what did you think of The Black Phone when you first saw it, and what do you think of it now?
I loved it. I still love it. We've seen it twice now. I would quite happily watch it again, really anything.
Yeah.
I did. I loved it. I shit myself in the cinema. I got such a fright.
Yeah. Well, what I will say about seeing it in the cinema, I'm really glad that we made a point of seeing it in the cinema.
Same.
Because out of the twice I watched it, I found it much better in the cinema.
Yeah.
As is the case with most films for me, just the sound and you're more into it, and it's you can't really check your phone in it, and it's just there and you pay
scarier
attention.
in the cinema. I don't know if that's because we had already seen it.
I guess, yeah, sometimes you know the scares are coming, obviously. But because I'm going to go on not a wee rant here, but just I hate how, especially, I don't know if it's happening in America, you can tell us in the comments, but in the UK, horror films don't get a good release. Like, they get released, when a new film comes out, say that was out on a Friday, it will be on in like every hall on the Friday, and then the Saturday it'll be on in like half the halls, like twice a day, and then it'll be on in like one hall twice a day, and then it'll be on like once a week.
I forgot about that.
Like,
we
it's
really
ridiculous.
struggled to see that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm glad that I actually made the effort of like booking a slot and going to see it, because it was literally only showing like once every couple of days, and it was great in the cinema. So yeah, Odeon, Cineworld, whatever, sort your shit out and put more good horror films in the cinema for longer because people want to see them. But yes, it was great in the cinema because I feel like you got to take in the performances. You got to. I always prefer hearing the score of a film in the cinema.
And the score lent a lot to this film.
Yeah. Any horror film, I feel like the audio is so important. Like both the score and the special effects, and the sound effects. Sorry, can make or break a horror film. So, yeah, I was glad that I got to see it in that setting.
And I mean, I'm an Ethan Hawke fan anyway. But oh my god, Ethan Hawke in this film was unbelievable.
See, I feel like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I've always actually preferred Ethan Hawke to you. Like, you like him, but I love Ethan Hawke's work. I think he's one of the best actors about. Most of his filmography, I'm a fan of. I mean, there's a few I still need to see.
I don't think there's anything that I'm not a fan of, though.
I still need to see First Reformed, and I still need to see a few other ones.
He's good in that one with Angelina Jolie.
Taking Lives, yeah.
He's really good in that. I like him.
Yeah.
Again, playing a baddie, which I think I prefer him as a baddie.
Well, he was recently in Moon Knight, and he was probably the best thing about Moon Knight, to be honest.
He annoyed me in that, actually.
But Training Day is one of my favourites. I think he's incredible in that film.
Yeah.
I've not seen Boyhood either. I really like that one with the vampires, Daybreakers. Sorry, we'll stop going over Ethan Hawke's filmography because we'll be here all day. But point is, we like Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
The last Ethan Hawke film that's not this that I want to talk about is Sinister, though, because you've not seen Sinister. But that was for a collaboration between Scott Derrickson, Ethan Hawke, and what's his name? The guy for it. It's great.
What is his name?
I can't look it up on my phone. You look it up, I'll keep talking. But the three of them are in Sinister, the three of them are in this movie, and I don't know, obviously, because I wasn't on the set, but you get the impression with this film that there was more of a relationship and more of a sort of natural trust there between the cast and the director than what there was in Sinister. Sinister feels a bit more like they were finding their feet, and it was a bit more experimental. And a bit more...
James Ransone,
yeah, that's right, he's great.
yeah, he's very good.
Yeah.
He's one of the best things about that chapter too.
We need to watch Sinister because he's probably the best thing about Sinister, to be honest.
Okay.
He's really actually funny in it. He's really like... I don't know, he does this thing where he is sympathetic, but he's also really funny.
Yeah.
He's really good. So...
I like him a lot.
Yeah. He was great in Black Phone as well. Although he could have probably been in it a bit more, I think, because he hasn't in it that much. But when he's in it, he's great.
But I don't think he could have been in it anymore.
I guess because it's really all set in the one room. He's not in that room until spoilers at the very end. So we're going to go kind of spoilers for all these. I should have said that too. We might dance around some of them, but for the most part, I would say see these three films before you listen to us talk about them. I mean, I would say that for every episode, really, because the point of this podcast is for us to get into them. Sometimes, if it's like a big Marvel movie, we'll probably do like some non-spoilers and some spoilers. But this week, because we're only doing 20 minutes on each, which I'm taking up the full time.
Spoilers all the way through.
Spoilers all the way through. So see the Black Phone and then come back. If you've not seen it, skip ahead like 15 minutes to get to the next film.
Maybe 20 minutes with the rate that you're going at.
Brevity is not my
forte.
Positive forte, no. So, Ethan Hawke steals this. I think although the film itself, there's certain problems I have the more I think about it, Ethan Hawke is this part that still shines. Like, I feel like the rest of the movie is good.
Oh, good, here we go.
The rest of the movie is good, but Ethan Hawke's great. Like, I think he is kind of elevated above the rest of it and somewhat carries it, but I mean that's the kind of point. He's on a poster and he's the villain. He's sort of supposed to. It's like how Bill Skarsgård carries it. Yeah.
But I have to say, I was very impressed with the child actors in this film as well.
Me too. Yeah, the wee girl especially.
Madeline McGraw.
Yeah, the wee boy was decent. The
wee boy was good too, and I liked the wee boy that played Robin as well.
Yeah,
he was good.
The rest of the kids done. Yeah.
He was really good.
The wee girl was definitely stole. She was.
In the kind of small amounts that you've seen, the main wee boy, Finn, and the wee boy Robin together. Is it Robin?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The very small amount you see them together, they really get their chemistry across really well. And then that's again spoilers, but that's what makes the final phone call so sad.
Yeah.
Is he's no mate, it's been in you the full time because I know you.
So I agree that bit felt earned, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
It earns its finale, and it also earns its twist to the supernatural for being just a kind of creepy kidnapping film to a supernatural film. I think it earns that. It sets it up well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a jerk when it happens. Like
no.
It feels like a natural kind of progression or evolution of the film.
Yeah.
The only scene with that wee boy that I've got a bit of an issue with, and I noticed this watching it the second time, it's always when I rewatch something, but same with Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. See when he's in the bathroom and he's washing his knuckles, his dialogue is very expositional. It's very much, this is my name and we have been friends for this long, and this is my family, and this is who I am in this school, and this is who you are in this school, and we have to look out for each other. I don't know, it just feels a bit, it feels a bit like a script. It feels like a bit like a person's wrote a script.
No, it
doesn't feel like a natural conversation.
I would disagree with that. Quite a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just how I feel
I really like that scene because you got him solidified as like a safety net for him. Mm-hmm. And obviously a very unstable life.
Which means when he's whipped away, you
and
feel
when
it more.
You see, so when you see him walking, like obviously with the first wee guy, with the wee baseball guy, Bruce, and you see the black van, and you see him coming out the van, you go, shit. But you knew it was coming. And then when you see it happening with Robin, you're like, no, leave him the fuck alone.
What I was thinking when I watched this, and I do this quite often when I'm watching like anything really, but mostly kind of horror stuff and thriller stuff. See when he was like doing it in broad daylight, there was a wee part of my brain going, hasn't he caught him yet? But then, unfortunately, you read the news and you realise that happens in real life.
Yeah.
People do get kidnapped in broad daylight and no one does anything.
All the time.
So that isn't, although it should be unrealistic, it's not. So, yeah.
It's not. And then, I was going to say something there about their dynamic.
About Robin and Finn?
Aye. So then, also because obviously Robin is his safety net, Robin saves him all the time. Robin's the brave one, the strong one. You understand the helplessness that he feels, because how can somebody so much stronger than him, like Robin, not escape this? So what is so special about him that he's going to escape this? And you totally understand his thinking with that.
I'm going to pick something to you, and I don't know if you're going to prefer it or not.
Okay.
What I wondered, right, when he was talking to the kids on the phone, you obviously saw them in the room with him. I wondered, and again this was the second time I watched it, I wondered if it would have been more effective if you only saw Robin. If the rest of the kids, it was just their voices, and then Robin actually appeared to him in person, and again that would have tugged on emotional heartstrings a bit more. Because I really like the way, if you watch film in terms of cinematography, I really like the way that they revealed Robin. Finn's standing on the phone and then he steps backwards and then Robin stands in the corner. Yeah, after that. No, but I mean, at first he's standing in the corner and the kind of shadows talking to him. And I really like that kind of reveal, but because we'd already seen, was it Vince, the pinball guy, and the first boy with a big cut in his face and then the floating kid, like we'd already seen all that by the time we'd seen Robin, it was kind of like as soon as he spoke to Robin, you knew he was going to be in the room.
But my thing is,
I think it would have been more impactful if he was
so I get what you're saying. I feel like that would have maybe crossed the line. Where you go, bullshit, how come he can see them? Because he knew Bruce. He didn't see Bruce though.
No, he didn't.
But he knew Bruce. He didn't know any of the rest of the kids. So how would they have? I
don't know. I just feel like it might be more effective to have only seen Robin. I think it would have more of an impact.
I quite like him not seeing any of them.
Yeah, or
because
that.
He can't see them.
Or that.
It's just us that see him.
Yeah.
Also, if they hadn't appeared and nobody could see them, then I wouldn't have embarrassed myself in front of a full cinema hall of people.
I think. See, I think that's the thing. I think the second jump scare was more effective than the first one, because the first one he just stepped backwards and the boy was standing kind of behind him as he turned. He was standing there.
That was not funny.
The second one, when the wee boy was floating upside down, the grate.
Yeah.
That was creepier because it was in the dark. He was shining a torch around the room. There was more kind of tension.
I didn't watch that one.
Were you hiding at that point?
Yes.
But at that stage, I feel like because that's the scariest jump scare, that should have maybe came first. Although I will say, I'm a bit funny with jump scares sometimes. I'm really
Nah,
not a fan of them sometimes, I think.
I like the layout of it though, because even you said that it kind of got to a point where you didn't expect it because it took them so long to do it.
Well, you said, yeah, it does come an hour in, and as you said, you needed something to break the tension, which I do agree with, because the
so
first of
much
that film's all tension.
But no, I don't mean that. I mean with the second one,
Mm-hmm.
where the kid's upside down.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking around so much that even you kind of went, oh, maybe they won't do it.
Yeah.
And then they done it.
Yeah, they sort of
So
extend
no,
it longer
I
than
like
what you expect. No, I'm not saying that the jump scares were good in terms of, it wasn't the case where it was like, there's going to be a jump scare now, and there is, because that's my least favourite kind of jump scare when it's super predictable. And these weren't that, but what was I going to say, the jump scares in this film, yeah, they were actually okay implemented, and they were far better than Sinister. As much as I don't hate Sinister, it's alright, the jump scares almost ruin that film. There's a ton of them, and it's a bit much. Like,
I'm very susceptible to jump scares.
It's a bit overkill. See, it just exhausts me after a while. Like the first, again, and there's maybe 2 or 3. That is like my maximum. See if it's more than that, it pisses me off. I'm just like, that's just lazy writing. I don't know. I don't know. I think it can ruin a good horror film. But yes, thankfully they're kept to. They're fairly kind of, what's the word, sparse in this, and I think that's kind of more gracious because it's not annoying the audience with it. It's not just because good horror isn't just here's a loud noise and an image on the screen. Like that's anybody could do that. I could do that just now on this webcam. I wouldn't. But the point is, you know, and that's not good horror filmmaking. Good horror filmmaking is building tension, and the shit you don't see is the scariest part. Like that's my favourite kind of horror. Yeah, and I think that's the most effective. But the Black Phone had that element. It did show the kids, but it didn't do it to too much in a egregious extent. So I guess I'm okay with that. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the Black Phone, so I'm kind of good to move on to the next film. If you are, do you have anything else to say about it?
I would just give a shout to Madeline McGraw in that film just because she was so good. Her little sister is in Haunting the Hill House.
Alright.
She's the youngest wee girl in that.
Right.
And I thought her sister was good. Like when I've seen her sister.
I hated Hill House.
I know you did.
I hated the shout actors in that show as well.
But I thought that she was excellent. Like the scene when he wakes up and the dad's beating her.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, the acting was really upsetting.
The crying and the screaming was so legit,
Real.
and it was so
almost
sickening. Like it was horrible.
You made a comment about how childish she sounded at that point.
Yeah.
Which made it even more kind of tragic.
Oh.
Because she is quite a mature
She's a very mature
But
girl.
then when you hear her screaming like that, you're like, oh, she's just a whale. You know?
No, it's horrible. So yeah, very effective. And they also had a Carrie Corso, so shout out to the big beautiful Carrie Corso at the end of the movie. That was great.
I mean, there is also sort of logical problems I have with the film, but I don't know about getting in here and pick on it for that because it's just a bit.
It's a great film.
Actually,
Carry on.
Do you want to rate it before we move on? What would you give it out of 10? If you were writing a review and stuff, what would you finish it with?
For me, I'd probably give it an 8.
You would give it an 8?
Yeah.
See, I would have probably said that the first time I seen it, and unfortunately,
No, you'd give it a 2.
since thinking about it, I'm on a 7. I'm on a 7.
Oh, okay.
It's still a good horror
That's
movie.
fairer than I
It's a
thought it
solid
was gonna
horror
be.
movie. It's not the best horror film I've ever seen, but it's a solid film, and it was a good, especially in the cinema, a really good time at the cinema.
Yeah.
Don't know how much it
Spent
benefits.
the majority of it laughing at me, but
I don't know how much it benefits for repeat watching, but I really liked it the first time I seen it. So yeah, it's a solid film.
I
Ethan
think
Hawke's
it
great in
says
it.
something that we basically watched it almost kind of 2 nights in a row,
Yes, we did. I mean, that was
which we
because
don't do that with.
that's because we had a friend up though, and we were sort of watching it
I
together.
know, but at the same time we still really don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh no, I had no problem watching it for a second time because I enjoyed it so much the first time. So yeah, but at the same time, watching it the second time is probably made it loads of point for me. But anyway, yes. So that is The Black Phone. Go and see it. It is a good film, and we're bang on 20 minutes. Well, I need to end that a wee bit, so maybe not quite, but as of recording we are. So yes, let's move on to the next movie, which is Bullet Train. Bullet Train. We seen the last one we seen in the cinema actually, and yeah, I really enjoyed this film far more than I thought I would. Not that I didn't think I wouldn't enjoy it because I do like films on
Yeah,
in this style.
you were more looking forward to it than me.
I do like films. I like films like Smoking Aces and I guess Snatch. It's a little bit like that, and it's a wee bit like these sort of mid-noughties.
See, that wasn't the vibe I got from the trailer.
What did you thought? What did you think it was going to be like?
So I just kind of thought it was going to be really quite pretentious. Like I thought it was going to be like headachy, and like louder in your face for kind of no reason.
Right.
But it wasn't. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Way more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. As I said, I'll link my review below, but I actually, just what you were saying about I take it by headaching if you mean the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I really complimented that in the review, because one of the things that I liked a lot about it was the whole film, near enough, is obviously it's take place in this bullet train. Also, just the title alone, it's a nice double entendre. Bullet train, people get shot on the train, like it's a nice kind of double meaning. That was definitely on purpose. So,
yeah.
The whole film near enough
If
takes
it
place.
wasn't, they'll say it is now.
Near enough, the whole film takes place on this train, and it never feels claustrophobic. It never feels like you can't follow the action.
No.
It never feels like, even when it's cutting between characters, which it does quite often, you never feel lost as to where you are on the train. Because,
No, you
and
don't.
again, I think that is owed in a lot to the aesthetic. There's different lighting used in each carriage, and I think that really helps, because at a glance you're like, right, we're in the carriage with the bar in it, where it has that fight with, spoilers for the Mexican guy and stuff, and then, or we're in that blue carriage, which you know is a quiet carriage. Like,
Yeah.
the lighting's used really well to tell you whereabouts you are on the train. You know you're at the front or at the back or in the middle. You sort of know what car you're in. You never get mixed up in that sense, and that is the thing as well. There's a lot going on in this movie in terms of characters. There's a lot of crossover. It's a kind of ensemble cast with a good few cameos, which I don't think we should spoil, because unless you want to, but
No.
some of the cameos were really cool. But
Sure, we're just living in it.
in that ensemble kind of cast, though, there's a lot of also strong performances and strong actors. Everyone felt like they existed outside of the train. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't just feel like they were all characters written to be on this train and appear in this film. It felt like they were all coming from somewhere, some backstory, and they all had their own sort of worldview, and they all had their own opinions on things, and you know, their own outlook, and it felt really distinct. And with this many characters in this hectic of a movie, that's not easy to do, because it's not a slow character study, it's an intense action thrilling film, and yet you still know distinctly who's from where, like especially to Lemon and Tangerine, who were standouts in my opinion. Obviously they're very obviously from England, they're West Ham fans, like you know that from the get-go, and all of a sudden you know who those characters are. They're hitmen, and then you also do get a couple of flashbacks to them when they were younger, but before even they show that flashback, you sort of know the relationship and their chemistry. And it's also because Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry are great and have a great chemistry and bounce off each other. That obviously helps it. But I actually think it's a lot to do with the writing and the way the characters have all been crafted. Because I mean, obviously that's what I was a bit worried about, because I knew there was a lot of characters in it. I was worried sometimes in these films they sort of flesh out the main character of Brad Pitt, the character we're following, and everybody else is just a sort of tertiary character that maybe kind of complements his story, but you don't really have their own thing going on. Whereas in this film, everybody had their own thing going on, and that was effective. And probably not easy to do. Like, as a director, David Leitch did a great job managing that, I think, and I think he did a great job also managing, like, the film is so cartoony but also really high stakes. Like, it never, even though there's ridiculous stuff happening, you still
believe it.
It still feels like life or death. Yeah, it doesn't feel like pointless, like, oh, he's dead and just move on. Like, there's still a bit of a weight to it, even though it is super exaggerated and over the top. And I think that's a good balance that they managed to strike with it. I feel like I've just ranted about how much I love this film. What did you think?
I loved it. As I said, I wasn't going in overly thrilled. Like, I wasn't that bothered. But I loved it. I could watch it again now. Like, I'm surprised that other folk have not somehow found a way to rewatch it when they're going back to cinema or whatever.
I was going to say, we've got our cars now, we could go and see it again.
But it was just so much fun.
We said that on the drive home that we could watch it there and then again. We wanted to see it because we were talking about it.
It was such a good time. Like, it was a proper
blockbuster
cinematic experience. Like, in like the old fashioned sense. Like, I just had such a good time sitting watching it. It didn't feel its length. At no point were you kind of going, oh, what am I going to do when I get home? Or, like, it captivated your full attention for the full runtime.
That was another thing I mentioned in the review, was the pacing of it. Although it is a fast-paced movie, again, you never feel lost. It's never confusing.
No, you don't feel rushed at all. Everybody kind of has their moments. Yes, Tangerine and Lemon are my favourite characters.
I want to see a spin-off just for you too.
Yeah, same. I
wanna
could
see
watch
them
them all
get
day
a
long.
series
I
in
think
the
it's
film.
the best that Aaron Taylor-Johnson has been for a while.
Mhm.
Because I kind of started to go off him a wee bit.
I liked him in Tenet, although he wasn't in it all that much.
But I thought he was fantastic in this. Like, I thought he was genuinely brilliant in this.
Really funny, and the stunts, like,
Oh,
obviously
yeah,
they
the
used a
stunts
lot
are
of them, they
so
used
good.
stuntmen, but there is also a lot of sequences where you see Brad Pitt and all the actors doing their own choreography, and it,
Yeah.
again, it's all shot well, where you don't. It's not like loads of quick cuts and shaky cam. It's, even though it's in a train car, which is quite a claustrophobic space, it's wide angle, and you can see
Believable.
the acrobatics and the stunts
yeah.
on display, which are amazing. The stunt coordination in the film as well
it's
is great. Like,
fantastic.
people getting thrown about.
And it's
blowing up.
proper laugh out loud. Like, I genuinely laughed so hard at this film.
Yeah.
And, like, the bit when you've got, like, the big costume cat thing.
Yeah.
And he punches it in the face. And obviously, like, spoilers, but there's, like, a twist with the big costume cat thing later. At that point, I just kind of took it as, oh, the guy in the costume's trying to take the piss out of him. And he just punches it in the face. And I laughed so hard. And I'm not one for slapstick comedy at all.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
oh my god, that was so funny.
That's the thing in this film. It's not just the dialogue that is funny. The slapstick works. Like,
It works.
the moment that really
It's not
cracked me up
garish, it's very funny.
was when Brad Pitt threw the Voss bottle at Aaron Taylor-Johnson and the noise it made when it hit
Dunk.
him, and the timing of it and his reaction.
It was great.
It was such a great
so
scene.
funny.
It was just a split second that really
I thought the
cracked you up.
cast was used very well because obviously, again, like we've said spoilers before, but obviously when they're talking about the
what?
what is that character's name?
The White Death?
No.
Who?
With the injection of the venom, the character's name.
Not the Viper.
No.
Ah, Jesus, what was she called? The
Oh,
Hornet. The Hornet.
The Hornet.
The Hornet.
So
Hornet.
when they were talking about the Hornet,
Mhm.
and you obviously you don't know who the Hornet is yet,
Mm.
but then the wee girl pushing the cart for the train is her from The Boys.
Kimiko, yeah.
She's Kimiko from The Boys. I was like, boom,
Karen
there you go.
Fukuhara.
She is the Hornet because she's a well-known actor. We know she's good at her choreography. We know that there's going to be a fight with the Hornet, and then
She's a red herring.
it's not.
Yeah.
And I thought she was used brilliantly for that.
Mhm.
For it to turn
Yeah.
around and you go, oh, shit, there's someone
Yeah.
new here.
The movie done a good job of that because it sort of broke the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall in
Totally.
some ways.
Totally.
Because the way as well that you kind of get introduced to the character and you kind of get to know them, and then you're maybe showing a wee flashback of them. It kind of goes through a lot of the cast doing that, and then there's a bit where a water bottle gets thrown. Oh no, it gets poisoned. They put poison in a water bottle,
Yeah.
and then you see the entire backstory of the water bottle, like
Yeah.
where it came from and when they
Yeah.
bought it for the vending machine, and then the camera follows it rolling across the ground to the point where you catch up with it again.
Yeah.
And again, like without breaking the fourth wall, it's that kind of dumb thing where it's like, well, we'll show everybody else's backstory, let's do the
Let's
water
do the
bottle.
water bottle.
And
Yeah.
even though it was a dumb kind of joke, again the cinematography was great, the edit was great, the sound design, like it was well executed, even though it was a bit of water bottle. Like
This is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
This is such a good film.
There's so many great
All
moments
three of
like
the
that.
films that we're talking about today, if I had to say that there's any that you need to go and see, and like knowing how much I liked The Black Phone, you need to go and see this film because it is just such a pleasure to watch. I think.
So when I said spoilers, maybe for the end of the podcast, because I think I was going to do this at the end, but when I said that out of the three, this is my favourite, I thought you would have said The Black Phone. Out of the three, is this your favourite?
No, this is my favourite.
Wow. There you go, bombshell.
This
We're only
is-
halfway there in, there's the first bombshell. I didn't expect that.
No, this is definitely my favourite because also you gave it a lower rating than I would in your review. I would give this film a 10. This film is a perfect film for me.
So, me and you kind of spoke about this just privately about the reason I gave it a 9 and my sort of justification
But I
for it.
totally disagree with why you've dropped it a point. I totally disagree with that.
So I dropped it for full disclosure in case you should read my review, but in case you haven't, I know you're busy. I did dock at a few points, and the two things that I criticised it for aren't real criticisms.
They're not criticisms,
And
so they shouldn't count.
Right, so I do acknowledge that. I acknowledge that Brian Tyree Henry's accent being iffy is forgivable because of the type of tone of this film. You don't. It doesn't need to be a brilliant, perfect English accent. It's fine that it drops it a few times. Like it's kind of it almost enhances the comedy at some scenes.
Yeah.
And the other thing was Joey King's character is excruciatingly annoying. However, that's the whole point of the
She
character.
is supposed to
The
be.
characters in the film point it out, and that is the whole reason for her character's existence. So she did a great job, and the script did a great job of making her annoying. Like the movie.
So that technical aspect
movie
of
hit-
that intention of that, they completely hit that
I agree.
intention.
I agree. The movie
So why
does
did
hit
they
its
get docked
intention.
to a point for doing what they're supposed to do?
The reason I didn't give it a 10, those aren't necessarily the reasons I docked at a point, although those were my criticisms. I couldn't justify docking at a point for that because, like I said, they aren't real criticisms. The reason that it didn't get a 10 was because I hold the 10 rating pretty sacred. Like, it's
But you've not given us a
exclusive
reason
club.
as to why it's not a 10.
because it's not on the level of the other thing that I've given a 10 in the past. It's not on the level of, what's a 10? 7. Or it's not on the level of The Last of Us, or it's not on the level of
But I think it is.
Goodfellas. It's not on the level of these films. It's a great blockbuster thrill ride, and it does what it sets out to do, but it's not a classic of its time. I think
I completely disagree.
I think in 10 years' time, people might go back to this and kind of like, because that's the thing. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about actually was how this has been received quite negatively actually.
Really?
Not necessarily. So when it came out at first, I watched a lot of the American reviews. I watched like Jeremy Jahns and Chris Stuckman and IGN and people like that, and it was getting sort of middling to good ratings, so like 5, 6s and 7s, round about there. And then it came to the British press, and it was getting like 2 stars out of 5. So that's like a 3 or a 4 out of 10.
Oh my god.
From like, and at first I read it because although I don't try and read too much reviews to influence my own, sometimes I do like to get a sort of feel for the room, because it doesn't inform my review, but it usually like sets me in my opinion more. Like reading negative reviews for this, I read one and I was like, I don't agree with that. I really enjoyed this film. I'll read another one. Oh, that's really. I think it was The Guardian I read, and then I read somebody else. And by the third one, I was like, no, this is all wrong. This is a great film, and these stuck-up snobs, they aren't saying it. These critics aren't saying it. And I don't know if it is just because maybe the British stuck up. I don't know, but the British press didn't receive this film well at all, and
That's horrific to me.
I feel. I'm glad you're actually here with me backing me up, because on our other podcast, Pop Shock, I'm quite often accused of just hating everything and being contrarian. Just if other people like something, I won't like it, which isn't the case. I genuinely make up my own opinion and go based on that. Whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. But that is what I do.
10 years with you and I don't believe you.
I don't say I hate something just for the sake of it. That's not a good critique of my opinion. So that's what I try to be. So that's not what I do. But I have been accused of it in the past. Now, seeing this and Prey and what I've got to say about them probably backs up that opinion though, and I've already addressed this on last week's episode of Pop Shock. I do feel quite contrarian because everybody who's anybody loved Prey. I've not read a bad review of Prey yet.
Really?
Yes, I know, and I didn't hate Prey, but it's not good. It's not even a good film. It's like a 4. It's like a pretty okay film.
It's so boring.
Whereas 4 is probably about the average score that Bullet Train got across the board, and I would give that a 9. So I can see why people think I'm just being contrarian, but genuinely I love Bullet Train. I don't understand the negativity, but because of that, I do wonder, because believe it or not, there are still people that read, like, I know I rate reviews, but people that read reviews in the newspaper, which is kind of what a lot of the British press is. People still read reviews for when they go to cinema in the newspaper and try and work out what's good and what's not and go based on that. I think because of that, I'm not sure. I think Bullet Train's doing okay money wise. I think it's made its money back, and it's not like Top Gun Maverick, it's not making billions, but it's.
I know, but that was insane.
That was a great film, but it's doing well. However, because of this sort of negativity it's getting right out the gate, I wonder if it's going to be a film that in 10 years' time, although it might not be remembered as this classic
like a bit
of
more
our
of
days.
a kind of cult film.
Yeah, it's like people go back and go, oh, this is a good film. Like,
Like,
this is a kind of forgotten classic almost.
I
Like,
mean, that is Shawshank Redemption.
yeah, and Fight
No
Club.
one liked Shawshank Redemption when it
Fight
came
Club
out.
as well. No, I appreciate that, but I don't like. It's not there. Shawshank's a 10. It's not there with Shawshank. Like, it's not on that level.
I would disagree. I prefer it to Shawshank. If I was to have,
Wow.
if you were to
Wow.
tell me, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like Shawshank. That's not what I'm saying. But if you were to sit me down, like in our living room after we record this and go, which I watch, Shawshank or Bullet Train,
Depends what mood you're in.
I would turn around. The majority of the time, I would turn around and say Bullet Train.
Just because something's one of the greatest films of all time, like Shawshank, doesn't mean you like watch it every night. Like, it depends on where your headspace is at. But regardless of all that, I really enjoyed Bullet Train.
Loved it.
It might be. I mean, at the end of the year, we'll do our usual. We'll go back and we'll go through all the movies we've seen this year.
Yeah.
See our favourites, but
It's possibly my favourite film I've seen this year so far.
yeah, at the very least, it's in my top 5. Like, it's one of the best I've seen this year.
Elvis could
Whether it's
probably rival it.
Whether it's the very best.
But it's definitely the funniest film I've seen this year. Hands down.
See, in a lot of ways, I feel like, in terms of its laughs and its action, actually, I feel like, although it's kind of different because it's not a superhero film, I feel like this film did what Thor Love and Thunder should have done. Thor Love and Thunder tried a million jokes and tried to have quite intense action, and none of it really landed. And here, almost all of it landed. Like, see the amount of, maybe
All of it landed for me, I think.
and Thor
No. And Bullet Train.
and Bullet Train. Like, I would say, like, maybe, I don't know, break it down in percentage, but say 15% of the jokes in Thor worked, 15% of the jokes in Bullet Train didn't work, but that's still 85% that did. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
this succeeded where that film failed, although it's maybe weird comparing because that's an MCU film, it's different kettle of fish and
Yeah,
different
it's not the
budgets.
same.
And this is a more original
like
story.
Apple
Although
Story,
this
isn't
is
it?
still based on a book, I believe, so it's not totally an original screenplay, but it's an adaptation of a novel.
It's very good.
Yes, it's great. Go and see it. You'll have a laugh. It's intense, but it's still fun. It manages to do a lot of different creative things, and yeah, I'm at a 9. And like I was saying earlier with the Black Phone, quite often the more I think about a movie, the more I dislike it. With this one, the rare thing happened where when I sat down to write my review and thought about it, the more I liked it. And again, the more that I read these negative reviews, the more that it just cemented my opinion that no, this is a clever, creative film that does everything it tries to do successfully and does it well.
Yeah.
Whether it's the score, the comedy, the lighting, the action, the stunts, whatever, the cinematography, it's everything it sets out to do, it nails. There's nothing I can really say it didn't do well. Even the things that, like I'm saying, you might have a slight criticism with like the accent and stuff, it doesn't take away from the film in any way, so it's not criticism. Do you know what I mean?
I thought Joey King's accent was on point.
Yeah, I thought she was English. I
Her
didn't know
accent
enough about her to tell you she wasn't.
It's fantastic.
I just thought that she was English, so yeah.
Oh, at least I think she's in it.
No, I think you're right. I'm
She's
sure we looked it up.
American.
I'm sure we looked it up because I kind of not a tip like you, but I was like, I want to see where she is from, and I think she's from like somewhere in America.
Because she's in like the kissing booth and stuff, and that's what
Really?
I know her from.
Yeah, no, she was.
But
solid.
she was brilliant in that.
Yeah, and I liked how, although there's no like major Tyler Durden level twist, there's a few wee twists in the film that it's just like, oh, it's kind of cool how, you know, some you see some coming, some you don't. It doesn't really matter if you see them coming or not because they're still
I called
entertaining when they play out. Like, it doesn't make or break the film. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a dumb twist or, you know, it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable twist. All the twists are enjoyable. That's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun, enjoyable film. So yeah, and guess what? That's another crisp 20 minutes. Check us right on the money, man. This is shit hot. So listen, since we're flying through it, why don't we just move on to the third and final one? I think you've already got our sort of thought, our general opinions on this, but
damn film.
let's get into why we were let down by Prey. I think that's the thing to talk about because. What were you going to say?
So my biggest letdown for this movie, I was pretty hyped for this film because I love dumb action films. Like, I love the Predator films, especially the most recent one, which is not a popular opinion, but I love that film.
But you also love the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, aren't they?
I thought that the most recent one before this shocker was brilliant. I thought it was such a good time. It was really fun. It was really funny.
Yeah.
It was great. It was like a classic, cheesy, awful action film,
sure.
which is
it was
what
like
you're
a
going
bad
for.
cheesy 80s film,
Yeah,
which was funny.
is you want to get your
Yeah.
popcorn, your chocolate buttons, and you just want to sit and enjoy this film. But oh my god, was this new one a letdown. I went into this one buzzing because I thought, brilliant, we're going into the Stone Age. We're going to see how people tackled this otherworldly being just on their own, without technology, without guns, without all the use of everything modern that we've seen so far, even into the 80s one. Like, we're going to get to see proper, raw, hands-on, gutsy fighting, and like initiative of like creating their own weapons, like out of stones and stuff like that. And then it's actually not even set in the Stone Age.
No, it's like 1700s.
It's set like
200 years ago.
200 years ago. Like, what?
So,
What?
the
Well,
reason...
not 200, it was like 2,000 years ago. 1700s. It was like...
No, it's
What?
like 300 years. This is the year 2023, so
So yeah,
2022.
yeah, okay.
2,000 years ago, yeah, no, about 300 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
And like, to be fair, I was like getting ready to like sit down and eat my dinner. We had a really good dinner. So I was kind of half focusing, but usually half focusing on like a Predator film you can get away with,
yeah.
right? But I see this date coming up and I'm like, alright, okay,
Mm.
that's not right, but okay. And
that's
then
not right. You're wrong.
I'm eating, and then I'm eating my dinner, and the next thing I turn round, and this guy's talking French, pointing an actual physical gun at someone, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't the film that I signed up for, this isn't the film that I wanted to sit down and watch. Like, I wanted to sit and watch some guy that doesn't even have the power of speech yet try and defeat an alien.
So, yeah, my main thing that I was looking forward to this movie for was because it was Dan Trachtenberg who did 10 Cloverfield Lane.
So it
I'm a
is?
huge fan of that film, and that's why
Same.
that was the main reason I was looking forward to this. Because I thought that
That's
guy,
even more disappointing.
that guy doing that guy doing a Predator film will be awesome. And like you're saying, the stripping of the weapons and the gear and stuff, because that is kind of the point of the first movie. The point of the first movie is that you can get the manliest macho men in Hollywood, and this thing still rips through them like it's nothing. And at the end, Arnie has to go back to the old days where he covers himself in mud and uses the homemade traps, and that's how he beats them.
I thought we were going to get that.
Well, they do that, but not in any
Not
sort of
very
creative way. It's just a rehash of what in the first movie. It feels like a sort of on the nose, just copy of the first movie, a
Yeah.
soft reboot almost.
But not as good.
So my issues with the setting, I agree, I did think it was set way longer ago than what it was. When it came up 1700 and 1740, whatever it is meant to be, I didn't mind. I was like, okay, fine, whatever, established that's the year we're in, whatever. But then, when we're introduced to the Comanche people in the film and their sort of tribe, they didn't feel like people from that time. They felt like modern actors playing a Comanche tribe. Like
Yeah.
the way they spoke to each other, the way that they communicated. What I feel like would have made a huge difference, and there is an option for this sort of, see if they spoke Comanche, see if it was in Comanche with subtitles, it would have felt more integral
But it still felt like a modern interpretation of
of an ancient time.
a tribe.
Yeah, but I feel like the accent sounded very modern day America, and that sucked me right out of it. Now, you can apparently watch it with Comanche audio and subtitles, however the problem there is the mouths don't sync up, so why are you going to watch something
That's really bad.
that's badly dubbed? Like, you wouldn't do that the
No.
opposite way. You know, I hate dubbed stuff that's dubbed in English. I would rather watch it with subtitles in
Yeah,
its own
same.
language. So why would you watch, something Comanche with subtitles where they're speaking English? It doesn't
No.
make sense.
No.
So I feel like they should have filmed it in Comanche. It would have sold the time period team a bit better, because I don't think these actors really sell it as it stands.
Because I mean, they had all the rest of the cast speaking in actual French.
Yeah.
So why
True.
not?
And there's a few moments. I mean, maybe in those days the Comanche tribes did speak English, and again, that's not because it's not the Stone Age. It's only 300 years ago, so there is a chance with colonisation and stuff. Maybe they did speak English at that point, but it's the way they speak English. It's their cadence. They speak like kids feel
No.
like
Yeah.
modern day. They don't speak like I don't know, you don't have that old timey.
She came across as very modern.
And the brother to some extent.
The way that they behaved and everything was very modern.
And while we're on, I know I feel like at some point she was almost rolling her eyes and stuff, and I'm like, what? That's not.
Yeah.
It's very like modern day Twitter kids, TikTok kids. God, I sound like such a boomer.
Yeah, you do.
But
I'm making a mark to edit that bit out.
but talking about the brother, he really stood out to me as being the worst actor in this thing. I thought the
He was
brother
very poor.
was so forced and so poor.
The rest of the boys weren't very good either. He was, I would say, he's maybe the best
Yeah.
out of the boys.
Yeah, the rest of the
The
male
rest
tribe.
of the male tribe.
And
were
that
pretty
was
garbage.
so that was my issue with this film. So, I found it very slow. I went and wanted to see a film where the predator would rip apart these tribespeople because they don't have the modern
No.
technology.
Yep.
And then obviously I kind of did have the idea that at the end one would be able to beat the predator. I sort of, it's a film. The predator usually dies at the end of these films, right? You can sort of get your head around that. But instead, what you got was the first half of the film was.
Predatorless.
Well, no, we did get introduced to him early, but he didn't kill anyone until halfway through the film, and that was my issue. He spends the first half of the film hunting animals, he kills a bear, he kills a snake, and I don't really care about the predator killing animals.
No.
Like, it didn't, especially with CGI cartoon animals. The CGI wasn't great. The bear looked super cartoony.
I didn't like it when he killed the dog.
Like the dog didn't die.
No, the other dog. The wolf.
Oh yeah, he killed the wolf. Yeah.
That wasn't nice.
But yeah, just I don't know, just sequences like that. I don't care. I want to see man versus alien. I don't want to see alien versus animal. Like, I don't. Obviously, he's going to kill the snake and whatever else he killed. Like, I don't know. That just annoyed me, to be honest, right from the get go.
Just so boring.
So when you were following the predator, that's what he was doing, and then when you were following the tribe, it was generally the most obvious, by the numbers, predictable dialogue and sequence of events. Like, from before seeing this movie. Well, okay, before seeing this movie, I thought it was a Stone Age movie. So in the first 10 minutes of this movie, if you then asked me to describe the rest of the film, what I would have said was, right, okay, she's one of the women in her tribe that wants to go out and hunt. The men are all going to tell her that you're really bad because you're a woman, you should be at home cooking. And then all the men are going to get killed because they're too cocky, the predator's going to kill them all, and then she's going to be the one to beat the predator at the end. Guess what? That's exactly what happens. That's literally how the film plays out.
Yep.
And it was so on the nose. Like, even they literally had the line.
Done.
I know, they literally had the line, "Shouldn't you be at home cooking my dinner?" Like, it was so off, and I'm like, is that actually in the script? Like, that is the laziest writing I've seen in a long time, dialogue wise. I just thought,
it gives me a sort of thinking about how bad the film was.
like, try harder, explore more character options, explore more. I don't know, just this. What really, right? If you're going to, what I would have done, right? What mastermind there that's also made tons of successful films and everything. What I think should have happened, have her lose her entire tribe, have her lose her brother, and introduce, we never really met their parents, introduce their parents, introduce them as a close, tight-knit family that have to be together to survive. They all kind of rely on each other, and then the predator wipes through them one by one from the start, from like the first 10 minutes, right, instead of being half the way in the film.
Dad dead, mum dead, younger brother dead,
Right.
older brother dead, everyone dies.
And it's tragic, it's brutal, and then at the end, she has to kill the predator, not just out of survival, but also kind of out of revenge. I think that would be a more tragic and earned kill at the end, because again, the way she killed the predator, Jesus Christ. I know that nobody ever said these things were smart, but this must be one of the dumbest predators in any of the films ever. Like, she kills it with its own helmet, she makes it shoot itself with, spoilers, she puts the helmet between some rocks, and then she makes him catch his leg in a bear trap, so that the lasers are pointing at him, and then gets him to like fire the thing at her, even though it's clearly pointing at him, and then he shoots himself in the head. Like, that's how she beats him. And I'm like, what? This is meant to be a superior alien race with all this amazing technology that you can see in night vision, and they can do all this, fire rockets and lasers and shit. Why is he not know? It's his helmet, he knows how it works, right? Like, the way that she killed it bothered me so much. Yeah, I don't know. There was a few.
I hated it.
There was a few cool actual kills in the film, but not enough to justify its existence, and way less than I expected it would be going in. Like, there was a wee bit of brutality, but not on the level of what it should have been. I think you should have went, as I said, more tragic and more dark. There was
more storage.
There was one. See, the film was poor for the first half, like for the first 45 minutes until that first kill. It's really poor, and then it gets quite good for about 15 minutes.
Does it?
I see. There was a sequence, I don't know if you remember it, but it's when the French guys are trying to kill the Predator and they've all got their muskets, and it's this kind of smoky forest area, and he's killing them all one by one. I liked that scene.
Okay.
I thought that was quite well shot and quite exciting is a strong word, but you know, it was going for some excitement at least. It was trying to breathe a bit of life into the film. And then, as I said, the end of the film was just her fighting the Predator, and the way she killed him was dumb, so the ending was bad. And then the movie just kind of ends. She brings the Predator's head back to the camp. All the men are dead, and she's like, right, we need to make plans now because this thing hunted us. And then the film just ends there, and I'm like, what? It felt like the end of. I think I said this at the time. It felt like the end of the first episode of a season of a TV show. It didn't feel the end of a film.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a definitive end. It felt like it was setting up. Not even a sequel though. Like, come back next week to see the next chapter. Do you know what I mean? Not like wait 2 years and we might do a sequel. Like, it felt like it was setting up something sort of to immediately follow, and then it never did. There was no post credits. There was nothing, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I hated the first part of the movie. I kind of liked the next 15-20 minutes, and in the end, it was just absolute garbage. So, yeah,
I hated it.
we did enjoy this one.
I was so bored.
I don't even know if we can squeeze another 10 minutes talking about this because we've only talked about it for 12 minutes.
Nah.
Do you have anything else to say? I feel like I've just ragged on my
No,
problems.
I'm glad you did because I literally have nothing else to say. Like, I hated it. It was not worth my time.
See, the worst thing about it is, like I said,
And I was so excited for it.
well, that's the thing. There was a part of it, like I think hype is something that we spoke about a lot recently. We've seen things and expectations and stuff. I think that the worst part of this film isn't the film itself, because like I said, there was a sequence in it that was okay. Like, I wouldn't mind this film just existing as a streaming movie, a mediocre Predator streaming movie. The problem for me is the promise of this film.
Yeah.
A Dan Trachtenberg sort of, maybe not quite Stone Age, but old timey, you know, not modern technology film based on when the first Predators to invade Earth. That sounds like a brilliant pitch for a film, and that's what I was excited for, and I don't feel that's what I got. I feel like what I got was a lazy writing,
half-arsed,
by the numbers.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's a sort of requel, as they call it, like a sort of modern day callback to an older film. But see the part where they actually said the line, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." I was like, "Are you just going to turn around and say, get to the chopper next?" Like, how on the nose are you going to be with your references? That stuff bothers me. And again, it doesn't bother me in a film that's good enough to earn that. This film wasn't good enough to earn that, and I feel like it was using that reference as a bit of a crutch. It was almost as if it was acknowledging, "Oh, we know we're not great." But listen, they might think they're not great, and I certainly don't think it's great, but other people do. This film, like I said, it's been reviewed well, it's been received well. People are saying it's the best Predator sequel, it's the best since the first. I've heard even people saying it's better than the first, which is insane to me. But hey,
it's definitely not.
Watch it, make up your own mind. If you totally disagree with us, let us know in the comments. I'm sure there will be people that disagree with us. Tell us why we're wrong. But yeah, that's kind of how we felt.
I would be interested to know why we're wrong.
That's the thing.
I'd be interested to know what I'm missing.
That's the thing. I feel like I sort of missed something with it. But hey, it's not the first time that I've felt that way about a film. And that's it. At the end of the day, like, say I'm contrarian, or say that I go along with the crowd the opposite way, or whatever you want to say. I only go in my opinion how I feel about film, and I didn't enjoy this one. But
nope, me neither.
Hey, other people did. The worst I've heard somebody say is, "Oh, it's alright." There's actually only one other person that I know that didn't like it, and it was Andy Payton. He didn't particularly like it.
That's my boy.
But Robbo loved it, so you can tell me wrong, you say. But yeah, that's it, I guess. I feel a bit. We should have probably done it in our order because we've ended on a bit of a do or not. But hey.
But hey, go see Bullet Train because that was really good.
Yeah. If you want a good, energetic, fun ride, go and see Bullet Train.
And if you want a decent, pretty damn good horror film, go see The Black Phone.
Yes. Oh yeah, out of the three, Prey's the worst, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And out of the three, Bullet Train's the best. So there you go. There's the ranking. Would you score? We scored the other two. Would you score Prey?
Like a 2.
I'm maybe like a 4.
Nah, I'm a 2.
And that's being generous. A 4 is a generous score for this one.
I hate being bored watching something, and I was so bored watching this.
It's very slow and nothing really engaging happens for the first.
I'm not appreciative of something that wastes my time.
And it's not even a long film, and it feels it. In fact, that's something else. We watched it in 2 sittings. We actually put it off an hour in and watched the rest of it the next day. That's how much it was a chore, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not something that I would ever want to see again. So, Anyway, so yes, that's us covered the 3 films. Wow, we get through that faster than I thought we would. I genuinely thought we were going to be here for like an hour talking about each of them, so that's good.
We did well.
Subscribe to the channel. We have past episodes where we talk about Elvis. We talk about we just talked about Predator, but we have a past episode talk about aliens. There was a connection.
Hey!
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on the channel at this point you can go back and he's talking about. We mentioned Doctor Strange. I think we did an episode on that as well at some point. So yeah, go back and listen to all that good stuff. Check out the Pop Shop podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, because this episode and whatever the next episode is will appear on those feeds. I don't know what the next episode will be. Well, Nope. We're going to see Nope this weekend, so could potentially be Nope. It'll probably be Nope and something else, but we'll see when we get there.
We shall see.
Because there is, although there's not a great deal coming out over the next few months overall, the next couple of weeks is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of dries up after that Idris Elba film comes out. There's
I'm dying to see that.
double feature Idris Elba though.
Yeah.
There's that weird one, and there's the lion one. But yeah, after that sort of dries up, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening, subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review on podcatchers. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Give us a like. And if you really like us, you can share us with your mates and tell us how great we are. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
We'll see you next week, I guess, for episode 7, because this has been episode 6 of For Our Consideration.
Sure has.
That's a new sign off that I'm trying out.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.